I mean, if you have Sarkodie on song, you should know you are going to be the next big star. And yes, Kojo Black has Sarkodie on this song. He titles Next Door.
Number 5.
Anytime you turn in around, I don't want to see your back. The way you dey move, I feel to dey compose it. Boss, my God, I can give you fire, so you want me like you said, yo. Let the way you dey rough me on it, yo. And now you do.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex, buckle up and join the best.
The show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex, buckle up and join the best.
The show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex, buckle up and join the best.
The show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic.
Citi 97.3. Accra. Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadou. Tonight, I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
The claims of Intim Fojo are false. He cannot prove it. That is why he is running away from the investigative bodies. He is unable to provide any shred of evidence to back his claim.
Asin South Member of Parliament Reverend Tim Fojo sticks to his guns on the allegation that 2 flights entered Ghana with drugs. The government will have none of it and says he's simply peddling falsehood. Also coming up, reshuffle all police commanders in Galamsey areas. That's the latest in the gamut of measures government seeks to use in dealing with the canker. And later on Eyewitness News, Donald Trump's raft of taxes on the world causes widespread reactions. In Ghana, our Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa has invited the U.S. ambassador to come and explain exactly what the government of the United States is intending to do and how that would affect Ghana and possible reactions from Accra. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
number of businesses in Ghana triple, but job growth lags.
That's in 15 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations. In the Western region, we are on Adrian Power 100.7 FM. In Takrady, we are on Beach 105.5 FM. In Takrady, as well as Sky 93.5 FM, also in Takrady. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. If you go to the Ashanti region, we are on Focus 94.3 FM in Kumasi and Orange 107.9 FM also in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we are live on Revival 99.3 FM in Tajevu. In the Hohwe area, we are on VOV Radio 95.7. We are in the Northern region on Radio Bimbila 91.9 FM. In Bimbila, we are in Upper East region on Quality 88.7 FM in Garu. In the Upper West region, we are on Tungsong 97.3 FM in Wa and Jirapa 96.1 FM. We are live on YouTube. Look for Citi FM. We are live on Facebook. We are live on citinewsroom.com. These are platforms you can follow the program from. You can also join the conversation by sending messages and reactions to 0549 986 996. That's our WhatsApp number. 0549 986 996. That's our WhatsApp number. You can mention me on Twitter, now known as X, at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973. We settle for details of our stories, and the first one has to do with 2 flights that reportedly came into our airspace and delivered onto our country cocaine, or at least was carrying drugs. That was a claim made by a pastor who is a member of parliament for the people of Asin South, Reverend John Ntimfojwo. Now, this has got the government talking. Yesterday, the chief government spokesperson, Felix Kwachiofosu, addressed the media and said the member of parliament, who is the ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, was peddling falsehood. Let's listen to him.
The claims of Ntimfojwo are false. He cannot prove it. That is why he is running away from investigative bodies. He is unable to provide any shred of evidence to back his claim. I urge you to be wary of a desperate MPP that believes that the best way to claw his way out of the humiliating defeat they suffered in December 2024 is to peddle these falsehoods. Reverend Ntimfojwo has failed to honor the invitations extended to him by national security because he does not have a shred of evidence, and he will never be able to provide any evidence to back his claim because none of the things that he said were true.
So that's Felix Kwachiofosu. He's Minister of State in charge of government communications at the Jubilee House. He's MP for Abura Asebu Kwamankesi. They're actually neighbors. So let me talk to his neighbor MP now, Reverend John Ntimfojwo, who first made this claim. He's ranking member on Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament and MP for Asin South. Honorable Reverend, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Maro.
It's unusual for a man of God to be accused of falsehood or telling lies. Your opening paragraph in the statement you issued, you use the word lied on your colleague Felix Kwachiofosu. I believe it is pound for pound. But he said he didn't use lie, but he said you told falsehood, which is a synonym for lies.
Omaro,
yes, sir.
He lied. He lied because when he put out a video yesterday and claimed that I had been invited and I'm running away from the invitation of the security agencies, just 20 minutes ago, I got off on a radio station with him where he submitted that NIB is now typing the letter that they are coming to use to invite me to the speaker. They are now typing it. They are now drafting that letter. So as of yesterday, which letter had they brought to invite me per his opening statement? So clearly, a government that is bent on spreading falsehood in the attempt to defend such a crucial matter of high interest, public interest, a security matter. There are just three simple questions we ask, which we are demanding answers. And instead of them to simply put out a statement to give us the status of the almost $500 million cocaine bust, where has been the status, who is behind it, which people have been arraigned before court, and where has been the cocaine. Two, the bust, the high-profile gold bust, the money laundering bust that national security themselves accompanied themselves with cameras and media to undertake a subpoena 2 months on. What are the gold? What are the money? How much is it? And who are even behind it? Is anyone facing prosecution? Everybody is tight-lipped, and we cannot ask about this. We are asking around the same time where there's gold here, there's cocaine here, there's money laundering here. Around that same time, is it a coincidence that two suspected flights came in among thousands of flights? When I put out there, they say, oh, he's lying. I went further to provide the particular, registration numbers. Then some media houses did their checks and then came out to say, yeah, we have found that they indeed landed and departed the exact time minority had put out. Quickly, Kwachiofosu turns around the night and says, oh, yeah, they entered. But what did they come to do? They came in, and according to Kwachiofosu, he wants Ghanaians to believe that an air med flight, which is an air ambulance, came in with no patient and came in for 5 days, only to come for fuel, only to break down, only to be fixed, only for their gear to be faulty, for their engine to leak oil, for them to bring another flight. So all that while that the maintenance was going on, did he accompany any video of what was in? Contrary to the fake video of the cargo plane they brought, it didn't show a patient in the air med flight. It didn't show a dead body in the air med flight. And where did they keep that dead body for the 5 days? Or the patient, which hospital did they keep that patient for 5 days? And they said they were going somewhere. And because of this, they turned around and went back to Gran Canaria. He lied again when he said that the cargo was coming from Rwanda. Check the radar, and you will verify that the itinerary of that flight from the 12th of March. It entered here straight from Gran Canaria, not Luanda, not Angola, and then straight back to Gran Canaria on the same 25th. Could it be a coincidence that these two flights will come into the country, and that is when they will fly to the same Gran Canaria? And they say that, yes, they had fought. And when they had the fault and they fixed, they didn't also have EU permits. So they had to come to Ghana to obtain EU permits. And they all left around the same day that there was a massive doomsday in Kotoka International Airport like we've never had before. And we are asking questions. Now, what exactly did they carry? Just tell us. Okay. If they didn't carry anything, let the security agencies issue a statement, do the investigation. Now he's threatening, not interested in any investigation. And that's what President Mahama, and I'll quote him, I'll send you the video. He said it on Kusi Sempa, that when President Mahama posted that they should call for collaboration, he didn't mean it. But they're only interested in setting an example, making me an example. But they're not interested in investigation. These are his words. The arrogance of this government, when Ghanaians are concerned that in less than 3 months, there is $500 million cocaine within the system. We are asking questions. They want to gag, they want to intimidate, they want to shut everybody down, to weaken the stolen peace credentials and the crime credentials. That when was the last time you had $500 million worth of cocaine on our streets? When was the last time we had such?
Reverend, I just want to get a few things. So, is it your submission that the two flights exchanged the drugs when they came to Accra, or they both brought the drugs and deposited it in Accra and went back? What's your submission?
That is for the security agencies.
What do you know? What do you know?
And submit. We have stated our suspicion. We've been consistent with it right from our press conference. That the intel we have indicates that the air flight suspiciously brought in cargo, which is suspected to be cocaine and cash. That was what we put out. Suspected to be cocaine and cash.
So my question
let
is,
them investigate.
My question is
not.
My question is,
they should tell us how far they've gone with the investigation.
So my question is Ghana the final destination of the cash and the drugs, or Ghana was a transit point?
For that, we cannot ascertain how much of it retained here, how much of it they took out.
Do you even know whether there was any discharge here?
Yes.
So something was discharged.
That there were things that they brought from the video, from the flight, and things that they put back. Now, when you ask all these things, they say, "What's your proof? Where's your evidence?" Now, see, in this heightened cocaine and money laundering business, when the National Security acted on intel and went to bust the $350 million cocaine and went to bust the $150 million cocaine, which they purport to be belonging to NDC parliamentary candidate in Sekendi for 2020, did the informant, did he go into the containers to take pictures of the cocaine and took even samples of the cocaine and brought it to them as evidence before they found that intel as credible to go to the scene? So please, these questions, when we are asking legitimate questions,
okay,
and all the he should go and bring the evidence of the cocaine. He should go and bring the evidence of the
Reverend, is that not
evidence of this?
But Reverend, is that not a
Is
reasonable?
that how they want to get away?
But is that not a reasonable request to make to you, that you make a claim that drugs were brought in, cash was brought in? If you make the claim, you prove it. And what, let me just land here. Even if you were not invited, like you claim you weren't, you are duty bound as a citizen to help, deal with crime in this country.
Very much so.
So even for you, hold on a second, for you to get presidential attention, that's a big deal. That the President of the Republic reacts to what you said.
There's a reason why.
Let me land. That it means that you are being taken seriously. Now, even if you're not invited, that statement that the president made should amount to a public invitation to you. You should have walked into the offices of any of the security agencies and say, I am here. This is how much information I have. Do with it as you may. Have you taken steps to do any such thing? Go voluntarily to deliver this information, even if you are not asked?
I agree with you perfectly. And in that same spirit, the moment the president issued that Facebook post and that X post, that very moment, I wrote for a joint security briefing involving all the agencies President Mahama had taxed. And I further even indicated that meeting would afford opportunity. And you have a copy of that. If you even have the indulgence to even read it, you will see in my letter dated 2nd April for calling for NACOC, NIB, BNI.
So that's a public. Okay, so no, that's for briefing of the people's representative.
No, please. In that letter, I stated that it will be the opportunity for that collaboration President Mahama talked about. President Mahama collaborate. So what is the collaboration?
Yeah, but President Mahama's collaborate was specific to you, Reverend Tim Forjo, that you should collaborate with the. Have you taken any step to do the collaboration on your own?
I have written to them, and NDC gagged it, wrote a letter to block it. If they were interested in collaboration, would they have? If they were not interested, they would have recused themselves.
Okay.
The agency heads would have come. They would meet me, and we'll have that interaction.
Reverend,
but you blocked that, and today the presidential spokesperson has said it that they are not interested in any collaboration or any investigation, and that's what the president even put out as the directive for them to investigate and collaborate with me. They just said it; they didn't mean it. They only are interested in making an example of me. These are the words of Felix Kwachefu. So we are ready for that example. But if he is so sure that they have destroyed every shred of evidence, he will be surprised.
Reverend, if you do have time, I would be grateful, and if you could indulge me and just stay on the line. I want to speak to your colleague on the other line and return to you. Thank you. That's Reverend John Tim Forjo. Let me speak to Honorable Felix Kwachefu, MP Abra Sebo Kwamankese, Minister of State in charge of communication, government communications. Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Your colleague on the other line has used the same word that you use against him. You said he peddled falsehood. He says you have told a lie, first of all, when you said that he was invited. He says there's no evidence to show that he was invited. Can you share that with us?
Omar, the discussion here is about claims that Tim Forjo made. Don't digress into other matters. I'll respond to that question. But the most important thing that must be dealt with first, before anything else, are the claims that he made. You see, with the greatest respect to my friend, and he is my friend, I have very good relations with him. I share a border with him. When you leave AAK, you enter Asen South. And he is an MP. The last thing an MP should be doing is peddling such childish lies. You see, they are not just lies, they are childish. And I'm sorry that I have to be this blunt. How do you get up and say that 2 aircraft that have come into this country were carrying drugs and money, and yet you don't provide a shred of evidence? And quite frankly, Umaru, I'm very surprised that you are even indulging him. The moment he failed to provide any evidence, you should have dismissed him. And let him know that he is wasting your time. We are not in the business of encouraging frivolity on the airways. Ordinary members of society are not allowed to do that. How much more a member of parliament? He is abusing the parliamentary platform to engage in childish propaganda, lies that do not make any sense. Umar, yesterday, if you watch my video, it was a 7-minute video. I put out pictures and videos of the aircraft in question. There are 2 aircraft here. One of them arrived here on 20th March, 2025. The other one arrived earlier, 12 March 2025. The cargo aircraft is a cargo aircraft that has been coming to Ghana since 2017. It is an aircraft that operates between Luanda in Angola and a country in the European Union. European Union rules don't allow that aircraft to enter there without a certain certification given them after inspection and assessment. They cannot do that in Angola because they don't have the facilities and certification. So there is a Swiss Port Cargo Center here at Kotoka International Airport that has that certification. That is why they come here. So they come here for that certification. They carry oil drills and engine oil in jerry cans. Yesterday, when I put out my video, I showed it to the Ghanaian people. Everybody saw it. You saw engineers around the aircraft. You saw aviation security, national security officials, and others inspecting the goods in the aircraft, and it was opened. Everybody saw it. What evidence has he in Tim Forjo provided?
So why should we waste our time listening to such lies that don't make any sense? In respect of the air medical ambulance, this is an ambulance owned by a company called Air Med International that operates from Alabama in the United States of America. They came here on the 20th of March. When they were landing, in fact, the reason why they came here is that they were refueling and disembarking their crew to rest, because I have their flight manifest. If you see their flight manifest, you see that they've flown around the world. So the crew came here to rest and then refuel. When they were landing, and Umaru, there are videos and pictures of this. Their landing gear and tire developed a fault. So they had to stay for about 3 days. They flew in, engineers, and brought in new tires to change it before they flew out on 25th March 2025. In respect of the Kavok 2, they flew in engineers, which you saw in the video that I put out, and they fixed it and the aircraft left. How does an MP get up and say that because of this, they brought in drugs and money, and therefore he should be investigated, when he has not provided you with anything? Again, I heard you ask him about the invitation to go to the security agencies for some collaboration. Umaru, you and I know that given the MPP's unscrupulous pension for propaganda, if they had any shred of evidence regarding this incident, Intim Fogo would have put it out, even before anybody invited him anyway. And for the records, he was invited through his minority leader, Afenyo Markin. You can ask Afenyo Markin this. The NIB called him and requested Intim Fogo's presence. Afenyo Markin undertook to deliver him. Later, he called and said that Intim Fogo spoke on behalf of the Defense and Intelligence Committee. Not that anybody had even appointed him spokesperson. And that he didn't speak in an illegal capacity, so he was not going to show up. If he tells you he's not been invited, it is not true. But in any event, let me tell you, and the people listening to me, that the NIB has, subsequent to this, written to the speaker and asked the speaker to release the team for the investigation. So he will definitely go. If he doesn't go, they will arrest him. And then when he goes there, you should go and tell them the stories that he is saying. How do you, and Umar, I'm so disappointed that the Ghanaian media is even continuing to encourage him. After he has shown that he was lying, does not have any evidence, and cannot put any before you. We should not be encouraging this sort of frivolity. It's a waste of our time.
Now, so his point is that the request he has made is for some collaboration to be made, where the collaboration means some briefing to the committee.
The collaboration, which committee? The Committee on Defense and Interior has not made any statement to the effect that anybody has bought drugs here or laundered money. In Team Fodwo, an MPP MP was engaging in MPP propaganda. It is in Team Fodwo who went to say that. It was not a press conference. Indeed, in Team Fodwo is not the one who would have addressed the press if the committee was doing so. It should have been the chairman of the committee. So on what authority did he even go and do the press conference? And why is it important that he is calling for collaboration? He simply sought to do plain propaganda. Propaganda that does not make any sense. Propaganda that does not have any shred of credibility. That is what he sought to do.
He appears to be relying on previous events. He says in the past, where the national security said there was a raid where 12 containers filled with gold was confiscated somewhere on the Amasaman Road. There's no evidence since then to prove anything whatsoever.
Umaru,
that could be one of the things he's relying on.
Don't tolerate this senseless propaganda. Intim Fodwo went to make a specific claim about 2 aircraft. Has he provided them? If the national security authorities do a raid and go and seize gold and money, how does that relate to these claims that he's making about the aircraft? Where is the nexus between the 2 events? And in any event, wasn't the national security itself that announced that they had made such a seizure? And indeed, Citi FM, your news organization, was part of the media that went to cover the raid. Were you not? Did you not see it for yourself? So what is the nexus between these 2 events? The fact that money and gold have been seized by national security. What has it got to do with 2 aircraft doing legitimate business in Ghana? So today, if you go to the airport and you see 2 aircraft that you don't know, we should say that they are laundering money and bringing in drugs. What kind of logic is this?
A short while ago,
anybody sustain this logic?
A short while ago, you said that if the processes that are being used, he does not comply, he may have to be arrested. He says you have been quoted elsewhere saying that you want to use him to set an example.
How can an MP stoop so low has to bring the image of Parliament. I'm also a member of Parliament. I can assure you that the good people of Asebu Kwamakes who sent me to Parliament will be thoroughly disappointed if I go and do this sort of thing. If I go and tell such a childish lie that has no basis. Look, the laws of Ghana make it clear that if you knowingly publish false information, you have committed a crime. In Team Fojo, I can tell you has committed a crime. And therefore, if today the police or any other security agency arrest him, they will be well within their rights to do so. Publication of false information is a crime. When they were in power, they used to arrest journalists on air because they have said things that they say are untrue. Why? In Team Fojo, is he more human than those who were arrested in the past? And indeed, if he had any evidence, wouldn't he have submitted it by now? The reason why he cannot do that is that he doesn't have any evidence. Eventually, when they get hold of him and they question him, he cannot provide a shred. Umaru, quote this day. Today is 4th April. I'm telling you that in Team Fojo, he will never in a century, 1,000 years, be able to give you any evidence of what he is saying. And indeed, in all the questions you've thrown to him, he has never been able to tell you that he has any evidence. You've
used a phrase like when they get him. Should I presume that to mean he's a wanted person now?
Now, because he's an MP, they have written to the Speaker to release him. As I speak to you, Parliament is even not in session. So strictly speaking, he cannot say he's doing parliamentary business. But they've written to the Speaker. And I'm sure as the Speaker has done in the case of A+ and others, he will do the same. And eventually, the law enforcement agencies will get hold of him because it is their duty to enforce the law. Anybody who is suspected to have committed a crime in Ghana is subject to the laws of Ghana, which is enforced through law enforcement agencies.
Very well.
So eventually, he will come into contact with them. When he goes there, let him go and tell these stories, these tall tales that he is telling them.
Thank you so much.
And therefore, you see, first of all, we as public officials must show respect to the people that we govern. It is this sort of conduct that led to the humiliating loss that they suffered in elections. How can a member of parliament get up and make such wild claims? In any event, has he thought of the damage he is doing to the image of the companies who are doing legitimate business in this matter? The people in Alabama who own this aircraft, who operate a legitimate ambulance service. How do you come and tell such a lie about them? The cargo aircraft is a cargo plane that has been operating for years. How do you come and tell such a lie? And I heard you say that, ask him whether the so-called drugs he's talking about ended up in Ghana or they were translated. I don't know the answer he gave you.
He said he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure.
So, anyway. So he was not sure. On what basis is he wasting our time? If you are not sure, son, why do you come and tell us?
Let's leave it here.
He's not sure.
Thank you.
So when the security agent is questioning you, this is what he's going to tell him. The whole of Ghana must stop everything we are doing and listen to somebody who says he is not sure. So please, he should apologize to the people of Ghana for wasting their time and dishonoring the position of the member of parliament for saying, I'm sure his conscience will be extremely disappointed in this kind of behavior. Look, parliamentary oversight is a very serious business. Okay? There are many in his party who before him have carried out parliamentary oversight in a way that was honorable. Even if you disagree with them, you cannot force the substance of the claims that they are making. But for this one, there's no substance to it. Nothing. You just say that there's money laundering and drugs because there are two planes who have stayed on the tarmac for some time. So all the aircraft at the club today who have stayed there for more than a day, they are carrying drugs and they are engaged in money laundering. That is the logic that he's espousing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for speaking to us. That's Felix Kwachofo. So he's Minister for Government Communications, Minister of State in charge of Government Communications, and MP for Abra Sebu Kwamankese. Honorable Reverend Tim Fojo, I think the direct question, based on what your colleague has said, is I'm glad you are patient. So the direct question would be, you have made a claim A that 2 aircraft have come to our airspace carrying drugs and money. I think the simple question would be nasika no wahe or na drugs no wahe. If you cannot prove that and you have no video to show, then he says you should simply apologize and that the stories you are telling are tall tales.
Umaru, just listen to the arrogance, the pomposity of a government official 3 months in power, suddenly threatening members of parliament, ranking member of defense and interior, for saying something very critical to our national security, and threatening that they will make example of him. They are not interested in investigation. They are not even interested in going into the matter. All they are interested is arresting. Who is afraid of arrest? In any case, when he lied that they had invited me, why is he now saying they are not typing the letter? He said that some MPs had been invited.
He said an invitation was tendered to you through your leader.
No, it's a lie. It is a lie.
Honorable Apenyumakin was not called by National Security.
It is a lie because MPs are not invited to NIB through their leaders. They are written to the MPs he just referred to in his letter. They didn't invite them through their majority leaders, their leaders. Were some of them not minority MPs? Were they invited through minority leader? They were invited through a letter. So if he comes to lie to you and turn around to say they are now going to write a letter, you trust such a voice. He's talking about, you see, if you gauge their posture, running away from the issues are raised. 3 issues are raised. Running away from them and putting sensationalism around it, putting arrogance. You can see clearly they are hiding something. You want us to believe that the ambulance that came and you have no video of the content, contrary to the so-called fake video you took of the cargo. Where was the video of the patient inside the air ambulance? He came and left, and you want us to believe you. You are talking about...
But you also haven't provided any video, not even pictures, Alice.
Please. He is talking about an MP who is a disgrace to his constituency. Please, we have public record of videos that indicate which MP's conduct to make their people proud or shameful. We have public videos to that effect. He shouldn't go into who is disgracing himself or who is disgracing his people. It shouldn't be coming from him. We don't want to go into certain areas. But he should speak to the issues. If all of a sudden cocaine is flying left, right, center, 500 million cocaine has been busted, gold has been raided, cash, money laundering all over the place, and MPs are asking questions, ranking member on defense and interior asking questions, and they want to jail everybody. They can jail me 100 years. I will still come back, and I will prove to them, if he's so confident that they have destroyed every shred of evidence, if he's so confident, he will be surprised.
When are you going to when are you going to surprise us?
Every shred.
When are you going to surprise us with the evidence?
If they think that they have destroyed every shred of evidence, they will be surprised. Ask them. This was directed at security agencies. Why has the presidency taken it so emotional and personal, and Kwachio Fosu, emotionally talking about this thing and veering away from the fact? You want people to believe this cock and bull story.
Reverend.
You want people to believe this story that even excuse my language, will not understand the languages he used, the childish this and all that, the arrogance of a government in power who has brought back something we never had before into this country that is demeaning the integrity of our security.
Honorable Reverend,
we are talking about it, raising questions.
Honorable
Where
Reverend,
is the money?
Honorable
Where
Reverend,
is the cocaine?
Honorable Reverend
Timfojo. What is the flight bring?
Honorable Reverend Timfojo.
You are running away from answering.
Honorable Reverend Timfojo, I think these questions...
Whatever they want to do, we are ready for them. But they should stop their line.
Honorable Timfojo, I think where is the money, where is the cocaine, these are questions. Questions you should be answering. You are the one. You are making the claim. You should prove,
If they wanted evidence, why did they reject my invitation? Why did they reject?
Is that where you were going to give the evidence?
No, please. When I wrote, I wrote on 2nd April.
I know. Were you planning to give the evidence to them?
So if they block that, how else do they want to obtain?
Honorable, yesterday he did a video and he shared what he has to back his defense.
And I'm telling you, it's fake.
No problem. Okay,
fake.
No problem. When are you bringing your video, which is original?
Which evidence has he brought? Did you see any video of the air ambulance? Did you see any?
Honorable Ntimfojo, do you have any picture or video evidence of the claim you made that drugs and money was brought into the country through these 2 flights? Yes or no?
If he thinks he has destroyed every evidence, he will be shocked.
Do you have any evidence?
And the evidence splashes on his face.
When is the evidence going to splash on his face?
Talking about it.
When would the evidence splash on his face?
Connected. Whatever they are covering,
Osafo,
the truth will unravel. And let me remind you,
Reverend.
Exactly January. No, please let me remind you.
No, don't remind me. Just let's go.
The same incident happened,
Reverend.
And to date, nobody has talked about it. $80 million worth of goods flew to Turkey. It took Iranian newspaper, media agency to unravel it. CNN, Al Jazeera, they all pegged it. They questioned Ghanaian authority. No, everybody sealed it up till now. The gold remains confiscated.
Okay.
Go onto your records.
Reverend.
If we are talking about these things and they want to use arrogance or power to gag it, some of us will not relent.
When will you give us the evidence, sir?
Oh, let them come. We are waiting for them.
No, they are waiting for you to bring the evidence.
They are. I have thrown invitation at them, and they have thrown the invitation away. So we are waiting for them.
I hear. Thank you for speaking
and
to us.
And they have just admitted that they are not interested in investigation.
Thank you.
They're interested in making an example.
That's Honorable Reverend John Ntimfojo. He's Member of Parliament for Asin South. He's ranking member on the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Earlier you heard Felix Kwachofosu, Minister of State in charge of Government Communications. We'll be back. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time when you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action no. Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey. So where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Yo, Anna. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Charlie, where are you?
Bossman, I'm at the bank.
Really? But your car is in front of your house.
Bro, my bank on my phone, Charlie.
Oh, how?
EcoBank, bro. With EcoBank mobile app, I can do everything, anywhere, anytime. Listen, I just checked my account balance, paid Ahmed's school fees, and sent money to my grandma at Walwale.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Masa, just download the EcoBank mobile app from the Google Play Store or the App Store, or dial *770# and be your own bank manager.
Manager.
Whether to pay bills or fees, to check account statements, send money across Ghana, abroad, and more, EcoBank mobile app has got it covered. EcoBank Mobile, making everyday people live everyday lives the EcoBank way. EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me bring some of the messages you've been sending through to our consul. Eko Ocher from Shy Hills says the so-called, no, it's not so-called, it's Reverend John Ntimfojo, should know the title Reverend is associated with God's work, so he should know God will question him and punish him harshly if he's just peddling falsehood. David from Ejisu Krapa says, all the police commanders who at Galamsey's areas should be transferred. Go to Takwa Banso and see for yourself how Galamsey is going on. Reshuffling of police commanders will do next to nothing to change Galamsey. Minister himself knows he's doing that just to buy time. The problem is in Ghanaman's DNA, including many politicians. Reshuffling does nothing to... reshuffling does nothing. They won't... I cannot read that one. Zilis Dwayne in London says Ntimfojo is peddling falsehood. His oversight as an MP is low budget at Blakwa. Akapo Jr. and Hafomim says the government claims the opposition is only peddling falsehood, but the same minister wants us to believe his side, which is full of inconsistencies intended to cover up money laundering and drugs trafficking. Courage in Koforida says the Asin South MP has not provided a shred of evidence to back his claims. I wonder why we are giving him all the time in the world to keep repeating the same statement he made 5 days ago without any scintilla of evidence. This is not how Ablakwa did it. Jonathan Dokino from Akachi says Honorable Fojo is behaving like a student of the Okujetu Ablakwa Institute. Unfortunately, he can only be one of the two below, either a student or indeed he attended the institution but he completed as a failure. We know what the MPP is up to. They are repeating the same strategy they used prior to 2016 election without any evidence. You remember the Airbus, Ford, and the bribe scandals which they could not prove even after 8 years in power? Njoya Bright in Nottinghamshire in UK says, we all know that the MP is peddling falsehood to get national attention. My disappointment, however, is the attention the media is giving to a man who is trying hard to be Honorable Ablakwa's student, but refusing to learn in a good way. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's talk about Galamsey and the attempt to fight it now. Do we have the minister's voice? Is that what you have there? Howard, please give it to us.
So, Sandra, the Interior Minister Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak has directed the Inspector General of Police to immediately transfer all regional, divisional and district police commanders serving in mining areas. He said the move is to replace officers who have served in these areas for an extended period without effectively addressing illegal mining activities. Speaking during an engagement with imams and Zongo chiefs in Kumasi, the Interior Minister said this is part of a broader effort to clamp down on illegal mining.
I have directed the IGP to transfer all police commanders in mining areas and replace them with new officers. This applies to regional, divisional, and district commanders who will be reassigned immediately. The newly assigned officers will be evaluated, and if they do not perform within 3 months, they will also be replaced. We will continue making changes until we see results.
He had the Interior Minister Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Daryl Bosu is Deputy Director of Arucha Ghana, is an environmental conservation organization. He's joined us tonight. Daryl, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
This government has said it to deal with Galamsey just like the one in the past. So far, a number of measures have been taken. The latest is to reshuffle police chiefs in the areas where Galamsey is happening. There's a critique or criticism that suggests that it is not necessarily the solution, it's just reshuffling the problems. From where you sit or stand, what's your position?
Thank you again, Sandra. I think if we look at the fact that we have the police very actively in a lot of the communities where Galamsey is prevalent, and so Galamsey is escalating and the impunity is also rising, then you are bound to ask whether indeed the police are doing their job. And I think that we believe that it should not be the case that while the police are there, these cases of Galamsey and even they of people, miners taking over people's farms, miners sitting in rivers and working they should continue. And we have said long ago that we believe that it would be very good for a reshuffle to happen. A lot of the commanders in places where Galamsey is still ongoing, for them to be changed. But we think that the directive is very, very crucial. It comes at a crucial time, and it might not by itself contribute to solving the problem if all other measures are not ensured to be effective. So, but I think it's one critical aspect that must happen, because see, the police officers on the ground, or the commanders, they are so used to the miners that we believe they might be compromised now in being able to do their job effectively, because we really see a lot of miners moving equipment, working inside they are not supposed to, but the police take it as normal. They have normalized illegal activities in most of these areas. So if we have a change of the commanders and we are now going to demand accountability from them, I think it will go a long way to contribute to the other measures that the government is putting in place. It is a very crucial directive, and we are really looking forward to seeing them put it into effect.
I see, but there's a view that the issue of Galamsey, one, is an economic issue, and to the extent that money exchanges hands, if you reshuffle one commander and a new one is brought, you are just giving a new one the opportunity to also become rich. And that could not necessarily be the solution. There are even people who think that, no, just use the soldiers. I don't know what you think.
Well, I mean, yes, those arguments have been made, and people have said that it's indeed an economic issue, but it's not always the case. I believe there are some police commanders who have good intentions and want to see the right thing done. I don't believe that eventually when the Interior Ministry realizes that even the people they took there are also compromised, then they are going to stay with just reshuffling people. I am expecting them to really step up the work that they are doing, but maybe eventually getting some people interdicted for their involvement in facilitating Galamsey. Of course, it is already illegal to be seen in facilitating Galamsey. So if the government really wants to deal with it, discipline people and they're still going ahead to misbehave, they can take other measures to address it. So I believe it's not something that is cast in stone that they are also going to get compromised. I believe we need to give it a chance and see how these guys, these new people, also perform. And like the minister said, they are going to tie these people to some key KPI. So I believe it is important that we give it a chance and see how it's rolled out. Then we can really make some assessments whether it's working or it's not working.
Okay. Thank you for speaking to us here.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Thank you so much.
That's Daryl Boso. He's Deputy Director of Arusha, Ghana. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM.
Now, the special court for illegal mining at 2nd D in the Western region has remanded into prison custody 7 persons arrested for their alleged involvement in illegal mining. The accused persons, according to a statement from the Ghana Police Service, were charged with conspiracy to commit crime and undertaking mining activities without license. They are set to reappear before the court on April 17, 2025. In a related development, 2 more Chinese nationals have been arrested for illegal mining along the Bonsat River banks. The police say all foreign nationals arrested have been handed over to the Ghana Immigration Service for further action. Now, the Interior Minister Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak has warned that police officers who assist foreigners to change their identities after being arrested for engaging in illegal mining that they will face sanctions. The minister expressed concern over instances where some police officers, including prosecutors, collude with foreigners apprehended for crimes to change their identities, allowing them to evade repatriation. During an engagement with police in the Ashanti region, Muntaka Mubarak stressed that foreigners involved in illegal mining, fraudulent activities and other crimes will be repatriated as the government is no longer interested in prosecuting such individuals. However, he cautioned that any officer found engaging in such misconduct will face disciplinary action.
We are beginning to see some difficulties, and I mean, without mentioning specific areas where particular citizens who are foreigners are arrested, they are handed over to the police, and then because of whatever reason, they will go and enter it into their system as Ghanaians, just to avoid what we are doing. Please, if we find any officer involved in this, I'm sorry to say, we will make sure that the disciplinary measures within the police administration is admitted to you immediately. We don't want that. We know you are making a lot of sacrifices. Please, don't listen to any other person telling you that, oh, this person is that person is this. If we don't enforce this thing vigorously, very soon, this peaceful destination that we have, that we are so proud of, will be lost. Because they become so many, the criminals may even outnumber us. We've all seen examples of other countries in South America, how when criminality gets to a certain level, dealing with it becomes so difficult. We don't want to get there. We want to make sure that it's nipped in the bud.
The Interior Minister also directed police in the Ashanti region to use 6 months to clear a well-known criminal hub, Tinker Island, which is notorious for drug trade in the Kumasi metropolis.
Regional Commander, in the next 6 months, if you are able to do something for me, I'll be so happy. And I know the Zongo Menshia Divisional Commander is here. You know, we have a place in Kumasi here around Alaba that is so unpopular. They call it Tinker. That's the task that I want to see. That to welcome me, to show that the Interior Minister is from this region, I want Tinker to be a thing of the past in the next 6 months. And I'll be very, very happy. That will give me so much confidence that anything I want to do for you in this region, I have reason to say that you're able to deal with this. And I know working together with the Narcotic Control Commission, this is a program that you'll be able to use to honor me. That at least in my own backyard, this thing that has lingered for so long, when I became Interior Minister, you were able to use your intelligence, you were able to use your men and women to be able to get it to be the thing of the past. And when you do that, I think that will be a golden award to me, and that will help me to also reciprocate that good gesture with so many other things that may help you in your region.
He had the Interior Minister Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak. The Minister for Roads and Highways, Governor Kwame Agboja, has raised concerns over the continuous haulage of bauxite and manganese by road, which damages the Takwa-Aguna-Nkwanta to Takoradi stretch. Inspecting the Aguna-Nkwanta to Takoradi road, which is 33% complete, the minister stated that no serious country allows heavy-duty goods to be transported on expensive roads. He called for a critical discussion on ending the haulage of bauxite and manganese by road.
Just behind us, you will see heavy trucks carrying raw materials to the port and things from the port elsewhere. It's another matter to be discussed on another day as to whether there's any country that embarks on extractive industry in terms of mining using roads when you're going to travel 50, 60, 100 kilometers. No country does that. The difficulty we have is that these trucks use this road that we build with our tax money. And then instead of putting those materials on rail, mining is about rail. Nobody does successful mining is of bulk materials on road. So part of the reason our roads don't last as long as they should is because of the nature of transportation we do on them. But we'll discuss that later. We don't have any issues with the capacity or the quality of work the small can do and then the competent. So the team here has capability.
That was the Minister for Roads and Highways, Governor Kwame Agboja. The management of Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, led by Managing Director Samuel Atamensa, has paid a courtesy call on the leadership of GB Foods. The visit forms part of efforts to deepen the strategic partnership between the two institutions. Speaking during the meeting, Managing Director of Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, Samuel Atamensa, expressed appreciation to GB Foods for its continued support, particularly during the first quarter of 2025.
We just chose to extend this courtesy of paying a visit to GB Foods. First and foremost, to thank GB Foods for partnering us in most of our activities for the first quarter. Hasn't come easy because you have options, and thing is, once you make a decision to partner, we also recognize the value that you add to what we do, and we also hope that we have also transferred value to your brands. And so we are here to thank you and also to further open up the channels of engaging better the two organizations and also at the brand level. So this, in short, is why we have paid you a visit today.
Managing Director of Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, Samuel Atamensa. Meanwhile, General Manager for GB Food, David Aflu, on his part, reaffirmed the company's commitment to maintaining and enhancing its collaboration with Citi FM and Channel 1 TV.
I want to thank Channel 1 TV and the Citi Group for coming over to GB Foods. We believe this relationship that has started is going to blossom. Very recently, we partnered with you for the Heritage Caravan and then also for the Back to the Village food fair, both of which we believe our brands have been able to get some good mileage. They have resonated very well with our consumers, and we believe that these are good opportunities for us to work together and grow our brands together and build this partnership further. So thank you for coming, and we wish this relationship grows from strength to strength.
General Manager for GB Food, David Aflu. A Deputy Chief of Staff, Nana Oye Bampawado, has disclosed the government's plans to revise the Internal Audit Agency Act to grant surcharge powers to the Auditor General to recover embezzled funds with interest. According to her, this forms part of the new government commitment to fighting corruption and making it a high-risk endeavor. Speaking at the launch of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice evaluation of the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, the former Gender Minister stated that government is confident that through the enactment of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill into law, corruption will be effectively curbed.
Initiating legislation to prohibit political appointees and politically exposed persons and all serving public officials from purchasing state assets, establishing a state assets registry, setting up an inquiry into looted state lands, and also setting up an independent value for money office to scrutinize government procurements above $5 million. Supporting the the Auditor General to enforce its surcharge powers to retrieve embezzled funds with interest, reviewing the Internal Audit Agency Act, and reviewing the asset declaration regime in Chapter 24 of the Constitution of Ghana and the Public Office Holders Act of 1998. To show further commitment for addressing corruption, the President has appointed a presidential advisor for the anti-corruption program in the person of Professor Francis Dodo.
You had a Deputy Chief of Staff, Nana Oyebampoado.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Sawudru krum na wote yes charcoal toothpaste aya no ya hwe yie no bi amfa so hwan na no wa chenchena esane se charcoal toothpaste bebre ane wodwa so na so nya ni nyina na yema wose titru mpo ni se wo nyini no bon ho modin se wo beto charcoal toothpaste a ye di bidia nkasa ye na anya dai kekene de agumu na wo de yin keka wa firi usimu na wo se anya hoden na se efita to charcoal toothpaste fluoride ewo mu na bo se ho ban na mana ye din da ekosi se oboba akokora na sa abrewa Pepsodent charcoal toothpaste dear, what dibidie, lemon, mint, ana zinc, ana kabomuaye. Ente ma wasiya ding, na mwonu mswa eham de muni nina. Pepsodent dear, yeni mnu dadao. Ente wasiya dibidie, lemon, ana mint, akabomuaye dear. Enye nachile se, yesin adam funono. Ebemu wonu ma eham, na abo wasimu baye friki kawabiemu. To Pepsodent charcoal toothpaste, fetchi usin, na mo wasimu baye abrebia.
Gasaba. Smoke from firewood and charcoal is harmful and as damaging to our lungs as cigarettes. It can cause heart diseases leading to stroke and may even affect our eyesight in the long run. Grandmothers, mothers, sisters, wives, men, caterers, and everyone still cooking with charcoal, let's switch to LPG gas. The National Petroleum Authority has introduced the cylinder recirculation model in collaboration with local partners to make gas more accessible in all local communities. Whether you own a cylinder or not, join our CRM initiative. Simply show up at any exchange point near you with a small down payment to receive a filled cylinder or swap your empty one. Regular safety checks will be in place. Say ebisa mo gas. Afedie gasaba. Switch from firewood and charcoal to gas for a better and healthier life. This message is brought to you by the National Petroleum Authority and the Ministry of Energy.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. The details now. The number of business establishments in Ghana has nearly tripled over the past decade, rising from 638,235 in 2014 to 1.87 million in 2024. According to the latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service, despite the sharp increase in business activity, employment growth has not kept pace, a trend that's sparking concerns about the structure and long-term sustainability of Ghana's business landscape. Presenting highlights from the 2024 Integrated Business Establishment Survey, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Inim noted that the report offers a comprehensive snapshot of Ghana's business ecosystem.
From the perspective of persons engaged, we are seeing about a 2 times change. As of 2013, persons engaged in the 638,235 business establishments that we had in Ghana were 3,383,206 persons. This figure has almost doubled, 2.04 times, to 2024 to a figure of 6,901,719 persons. So one of the first highlights that we take away here is that we see a tripling of the number of business establishments in Ghana, but the number of persons have grown slower than the tripling of the number of business establishments. What this is reflecting is that While we see a lot of businesses coming up, Chairperson, these businesses are characterized more by micro-sized firms. That is why we are not seeing an equal growth rate between, or a proportionate growth rate between the extent of growth in number of businesses, number of establishments, for that matter, and number of persons engaged.
That was the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna-Inim. Former Managing Director of GCB Bank and immediate past President of the Ghana Association of Banks, Kofi Adumakon, is optimistic an easing of the cash reserve requirement would provide banks with greater liquidity to support economic growth. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, has hinted at efforts to review the structure of the cash reserve ratio to assess the broader impact of CRR on liquidity conditions and financial intermediation. In an interview with Citi Business News, Kofi Adumakon also urged banks to embrace innovation and strategic reforms to navigate the evolving financial landscape.
The regulator also has their role to play in strengthening the industry because of the debt exchange program and the challenges that banks had with capital and NPLs. The Bank of Ghana had to take certain measures to correct some of those things. Today, most banks have adequate capital, and without forbearance from the Bank of Ghana, today most banks are out of it except for a few banks. And so I'm expecting to see the regulator also ease a few things like the cash reserve ratio, help give banks more liquidity for banks to carry out their activities. And so I look forward to a much stronger industry. The banks have to be mindful about the fact that banking has changed. Banking is now moving into a very digital era, and banks are investing in technology to drive that. And I think that is going to be a key area to watch. Another area that banks have to be careful about is the NPLs. Okay, interest rates are coming down, and they will come down further. Banks will have opportunity to lend more as the regulator also makes liquidity available. Banks will lend more, but banks must be very mindful.
Kofi Adumakon is former Managing Director of GCB Bank and immediate past President of the Ghana Association of Banks. Enterprise Group Limited, Intravenous Infusions PLC and Quantum Terminals PLC have secured regulatory approval to delay the submission of their audited financial statement for the 2024 financial year, but only have until April 30, 2025 to comply. The Ghana Stock Exchange, in a notice issued this week, said the Securities and Exchange Commission granted the extension following request from the three listed firms. Here is more.
While no specific reasons were disclosed, delays in financial reporting are often linked to incomplete audits, accounting complexities, operational changes, or internal control challenges. This is not the first time these entities have sought additional time to finalize their annual account. However, analysts say timely and transparent financial reporting remains critical for maintaining investor confidence and market integrity. Stakeholders are now awaiting the disclosures with interest, particularly from Enterprise Group, a key player in the insurance sector, and Quantum Terminals, which operate in the petroleum storage and transportation space. Any further delays beyond the new April deadline may heighten concerns around governance and financial stability within the affected companies. The scrutiny is even more pronounced as the first quarter of 2025 has ended, with several other listed firms preparing to submit their first quarter financials, a key barometer of post-2024 performance.
Emmanuel Opon filed that Citi Business News Desk report. And that's it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Hawa Idrisi Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. Citi News on 97.3 FM.
Oh, jump on now.
Go. Ah, go me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
The go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. I am Umaru Sandamado. Tonight on Point Blank, we're talking about the United States of America and Donald Trump. So the US President Donald Trump If you go to the BBC, number of stories focus on what Donald Trump has done. Now, you may be asking, why should we care? We should care because so the headline says Trump to charge high tariffs on West offenders globally. The story on the BBC. I'm going to read it for you and then we will narrow it down to how it's affecting Ghana. It says President Donald Trump has announced new import taxes on all goods entering the U.S. in the biggest upheaval of the international trade order since the aftermath of World War II. His plan sets a baseline tariff of 10% on all imports, consistent with his proposal during last year's White House campaign. Items from about 60 trade partners that the White House described as the worst offenders, including the European Union and China, face higher rates. Payback for unfair trade policies, Trump said. Analysts said the trade war escalation was likely to lead to higher prices for Americans and slower growth in the U.S., while some countries around the world could be plunged into recession. So let's see how this is going to affect Ghana. I'll be bringing you more of the aspects. But let's go to an institution that we have as a country whose job is to ensure that we bring investments locally here in Ghana. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC. The new CEO is Simon Maggi. He's joining us on the line. Mr. CEO, welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Omaru, and good evening to our cherished listeners.
Good evening to you. Congratulations on your appointment. How are you warming into your new role?
Well, we're taking it one day at a time in service to God and country.
I wish it was a one-on-one, so I'll ask you what your major policies are. We'll do that one. We'll do a more extensive interview later, so we'll talk about what you plan to do with GIPC.
Absolutely, my brother.
But Donald Trump appears to be doing his own version of GIPC or USPC from his side, where he's simply trying to empower his businesses, empower growth in his country domestically. It makes sense for him and his country, but it does not make sense for countries that would be exporting to his country. I don't know. What do you make of this and how we're going to get out of it? Are we even going to be affected at all as a small country? Because the Chinas of the world are talking. Should we also be worried?
Well, I mean, generally in the trade world, people are uncomfortable with tariffs because tariffs are one of those significant financial burden which is placed on consumers in the importing country. And so when that happens, consumers tend to move on to substitutes or they tend to buy products within their country. So on that score, yes, we can be a little bit worried. But, we are also reassured that within the international trading architecture, some way, somehow, they'll find a solution to this issue. So we should just work with what we have for now.
Okay, so how are we going to be affected as a country? Would we be affected at all? Should it be a big deal for us?
Well, it depends on our exports to the U.S. So, it's mainly in mineral fuel, petroleum, and then some cocoa products. Flat out 10% means that we cannot use the African Growth and Opportunity Act, the AGWA, which gave us duty-free and quota-free access to the United States. So that we may, but I'm also convinced that we will find ways to adjust to it because at the end of the day, we have a competitive advantage in cocoa beans and growing cocoa in our country. It will take a bit of time for Americans to learn or even to have the capacity to grow cocoa in their country. So they will definitely import from countries that produce this cocoa product. So we would adjust ultimately.
You have come in seeking investments locally here for us. Of course, maybe the Free Zones Board would be excited about sending produce abroad, so they may be the ones to be worried. But do you see reason in what Donald Trump has done for his own country?
Well, I'm not in a position to pronounce judgments on the actions of a president of another country, a sovereign country for that matter. I think that all presidents act in the interest of their people, and so we would respect it. What is generally worrying for all of us is that, in the international trading architecture, we are not used to such mass tariffs happening. We know tariffs do happen, and they are legal means, of protecting one's industry, but we don't see it in this manner. But, who are we to judge? He's probably doing what he thinks is good for his country. And then we, as a country, and with His Excellency the President, will also do what is good for our country, Ghana.
It would appear as though he's shutting the door. Can we open our door then? Is this an opportunity for us?
Well, we have to look at what tariffs we put on American products. We also put some kind of tariff on imported American products into our country because tariffs is a way of raising revenue. Shutting the door, may be far-fetched. There are people in the U.S. who import these products and buy them and use them because they need them for either as intermediary goods or they use them as final products. So that will continue in some form. What he's trying to do is, it's based on his policy. So what can we say? We can only look at it and then figure a way to position ourselves to grow further and to take advantage of still the American market for other markets that may emerge.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you, my brother Omar, and I hope to join you in the studios one of these days.
Oh, definitely. We'll do that. When you settle down, we will do something. We'll sit down and then have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and wish you all the best. That's Simon Maggi. He's the CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. This segment is called Point Blank. Let me go on the other phone line. A former Minister for Information, former Minister for Works and Housing, MP for Ofonsia Yoruba in the Eastern Region, Honorable Kojo Ponkroma, has written on Facebook, and he titles it, "Government must act now to secure tariff exemptions for Ghanaian exports." And he's talking about what Donald Trump has done, the 10% tariff on exports, including that from Ghana. Let's pick his thoughts on this. Honorable Minister, former Minister, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. You're ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee of Parliament. You see this as a big deal. People think that the tariffs imposition is targeted as bigger economies. We don't really feature at all. Would we be affected in any way?
Your listeners, we will be affected in two major ways. Number one is that the products that we export to the American markets, products which are exported by scores of Ghanaian businesses in which there are hundreds of workers, those products will become relatively less competitive on the American market, especially where the other countries that export those products don't have the same level of tariffs slapped on them. My colleague who was speaking earlier was talking about Ivory Coast. I think we should check, for example, how much tariff have they slapped on Ivory Coast. If it is showing that Ivory Coast has not been slapped with the same tariff, then our products like cocoa that Ivory Coast also produces will end up being 10% more expensive on the American market than the Ivorian competition, and we will be less competitive. And what it will mean is that the American market, unless demand for our product is inelastic, will end up buying less of our product. And so our exporters will suffer, and the businesses and the jobs in Ghana that thrive on this one will suffer. That's number one. Number two is that you are beginning to notice that the other countries are retaliating with their own tariffs. I think China has just done a 30-something% tariff in the last few hours. Mexico had already threatened. Canada has threatened. Now, if this continues, you're going to have a hike in prices generally on the global stage. And global inflation will then translate into imported inflation back home here. So, yes, it will affect us in about two ways. And that is why the government needs to take this seriously and respond very quickly.
But the question is, do we really export to the American market? How significant are the exports from Ghana?
So, at this stage, I think the first thing to do is to check the data. The data that is available suggests that we're doing some decent exports there. As I'm speaking to you, we are validating some numbers. In further discourse on this matter, we'll be putting out those numbers as we have them. But at this stage, what all of us should be doing is checking the data on how much exports we are doing from Ghana to the American market as a first rule. And then secondly, how much impact the hike on the global market will also bring back onto our Ghanaian market. Remember already the Bank of Ghana is scared of this tariff war and has started warning that they fear it would escalate into global inflation and come and affect us here. So both sides, we need to drill some more into the data.
I see in your write-up you mentioned AFTA. Now, is the tariff imposition by Donald Trump not a retaliatory measure to issues like AFTA, where Africa has decided we have our own common market that we are going to use? If we decide to protect ourselves, why shouldn't the Americans do same?
Oh, but AFTA does not proscribe imports from other continents. What the Continental Free Trade Area does is that it encourages that we should do a bit more trade among ourselves. But it does not say that we should, for example, discourage or slap tariffs on imports from other parts of the world. But in my write-up, we on the minority side, and I don't just write for myself, I write for the entire minority side on this matter. We raised the point that at the time when economic diplomacy is being mainstreamed, following what we are doing with AFTA and other initiatives, it should be of interest to the Republic to find a way to deal with this matter very quickly, as other countries are doing. It is in that context that we talk about AFTA. But no, AFTA does not seek to say don't import from other countries. AFTA just seeks to say that do more South-South trade.
Okay. If our Minister for Trade were to be listening to us tonight, you said government must act now. What should be the action that we should take from here?
First of all, government must put out the clear data on the impact on the Ghanaian economy, looking at the export numbers from Ghana. As I've said, we in our caucus, we are validating some numbers right now, but government needs to do that and put out officially what they understand the impact is to be. That's number one. Number two, government needs to quickly think through a solution. There are a number of solutions that government could explore. One of them being directly engaging at the highest level between the president and his colleague, President Trump, on this matter and exploring ways by which Ghanaian businesses could be exempted. Especially with the background of AGOA, which sought to give us, preferential access to the American markets. This is where you need president talking to president, picking up the phone and calling the other, and making a case for Ghana.
I see that you also have brought in the government's 24-hour economy. You say that they need this to be a way for the 24-hour economy to succeed.
Let me explain that. The 24-hour economy has a supply and a demand side. Already the government is yet to bring their policy document. But for all the research, it will show you that you have to get a demand side, even if you are supplying more, you are producing more. Now, that demand side may not necessarily be within the Ghanaian jurisdiction. In fact, you are encouraged to export more, not just consume all of the products. If you are going to export more, you need geographical areas with large and wealthy markets like the American markets. So you want to do a 24-hour economy, it's a no-brainer that America will be one of the places that you want to export to. If America is beginning to already slap tariffs on you, that should worry you, because then even if you supply more, produce more, the market is being closed to you in America. So especially when you are talking of a 24-hour economy program, which you are yet to, conclude its policy framework, by the way, this should be of interest to you to reopen those American markets by at least that 10% that is closing, so that when you supply or you produce, producers don't end up with stock sitting in their warehouses here, but they can export them into the Americas and other markets.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us. I was going to ask you a question finally about one of the countries in Southern Africa has decided to send a delegation to go and talk to the U.S. I don't know if it's something we should also be doing, or we should just fix ourselves.
I think that they are quickly dealing with this matter as a matter of urgency. And that is exactly what the government of Ghana should do. That's what the president should be doing, seeking to directly engage with President Trump and find ways by which Ghanaian exporters and the Ghanaian economy can be protected from this. Remember that we have always warned that global economic issues can impact local economies. They did not seem to agree with us when they were in opposition. Already, the governor of the central bank has been warning that if this thing happens, it will have a dire effect on the Ghanaian economy. And now it has happened. The government should not sleep on it. Time to act is now to protect the Ghanaian economy and Ghanaian exporters into the American market.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Honorable Kojo Ponkrumah. He's Member of Parliament of Wasian Yerebi and the ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee of the House of Parliament. He was Minister for Works and Housing, former Minister for Information in the Akufo-Addo government. So while we are trying to figure out what we should do, China and US are at each other's throats on tariffs, and neither is backing down. That's what the BBC's Stephen McDonough is reporting. It says American companies looking to sell into the huge Chinese market have just taken a big hit. A 34% price increase on all U.S. goods entering the country would knock some out of here altogether. This is especially bad for U.S. agricultural producers. They already had 10 or 15% tariffs on their produce entering China in response to the last round of Trump tariffs. Now, if you add 34% on top of that, it's probably pricing most of them out. Beijing, that's the capital of China, which also represents China, doesn't seem too worried about looking elsewhere for more chicken, pork, and sorghum. And at the same time, it knows it's walking the U.S. president right in his heartland. Globally, this has analysts worried. So China would have a way out. So there needs to be action from our own country. That's a call that has been made by our member of parliament, one of our members of parliament. Earlier, there was a statement by former deputy minister for trade and industry, Honorable Ochre Befi, who is MP for the constituency that has Koforidua as part of a new job in South. Interestingly, his views are important to the extent that he was once the boss of the Free Zones Board, where we are supposed to be producing and exporting. Let me read for you some of what Ochre Befi has been saying in his write-up. He says, "We wish to thank you for the opportunity." So this is a lot. Let me rather bring you a few key highlights. He says, Ghana is one of currently 35 sub-Saharan African countries that benefit from preferential access to the United States market under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which grants about 6,700 products duty-free status. United States importers of products that are made in Ghana can import these goods duty-free, resulting in enhanced price competitiveness. These preferences are currently available until the end of September 2025. Let's look at a few other things. He says, sectors that might be greatly affected are 1. Apparel. Now, as someone who once headed the Free Zones Board, it's important to talk about how much garments we produce from the Free Zones enclave and export. So he says, apparel. The apparel industry, which employs over 5,000 young people, is particularly vulnerable. Cocoa. While most cocoa beans enter duty-free, about 30% of cocoa exports, that's powder and paste, benefit from AGOA preferences. A 10% tariff would impact this segment. 3. Yams. He says all yam exports to the U.S. benefit from AGOA preferences, so a 10% tariff would negate this advantage. It is important to note that the NPP government placed emphasis and prioritized the implementation of the AFTA as a response to some of these trade shocks. Diversifying our product range to pay critical attention to the export of manufacturing products to other African countries was a major policy of the NPP government. It is important to note, with the implementation of the 1D1F, Ghana increased export of products like iron rods, ceramic tiles, and plastics to the ECOWAS region. Unfortunately, we have not seen a clear policy direction on export by the NDC government. How they respond to these sweeping tariffs by the U.S. is very critical to our exporters, especially those in the apparel industry that employs over 5,000 young people. So it talks about diversification of export markets. It says prioritize the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area AFTA, expand exports of manufactured products to other African countries, which that means is that redirect your exports. Government should prepare to take advantage of trade diversion based on retaliatory measures that would be implemented by major trading partners. So consider China and other places. Now, another thing he says government should consider, and let me just say that, so this is continuing from what Honorable Ponkruma said. He says government support for exporters, so government should provide some support. He also talks about product diversification and value additions. Then he says negotiation and diplomacy. Now, we do know that the Honorable Samuel Kujeta Blakwa, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, has invited the ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, to come and explain what exactly America is doing, how that will affect Ghana, and then we'll see what the way forward from that is. So negotiation and diplomacy. He also talks about enhanced competitiveness. And finally, he says policy clarity. So that's a statement signed by Michael Ochebefi, Member of Parliament, New Durban South. He was a ranking member on the Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism, who is a former Deputy Minister for Trade and former CEO of the Free Zones Board. So we'll be keeping an eye on this to see what the meeting with the foreign minister, between the foreign minister and the ambassador would be, and what the outcome would be, and what the general government position would be. Meanwhile, other countries have been acting, especially the bigger economies. America has caught cold, and we are sneezing. That's how we end tonight's edition of Eyewitness News, which came to you from our studios in Accra, Ghana. I am Umaru Sandamado. I did this with Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Production by Kobina Wilson, Sami Wiafi, Beverly London, Juliana Odame Asari, Manuel Ayama, and Desmond Nyakun was helping us with the technical side of things. New media supported by Emmanuel Owusu and his new media team. Up next is a Friday night, which means Sports Panorama. The head of Citi Sports, Benjamin Nketiah, is sitting in front of me. He supports Liverpool, and so he